Drunk, 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 hammered, drunk, 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 drunk.
Drunk trade of the week.
Dusty, this is actually a 2 for Drunk Trade. We got a 2 for the price of 1, which was already free. So that's pretty great. This one come from the FFB Tech on Twitter. Was not actually submitted directly to us. It was helpfully tagged by friend of the show, Toronto Dave, as a post that we should pay attention to. And I appreciate that because here's what happened. This was a 12-team PPR Superflex League. Dynasty League. All right. So here's the setup. They were drinking Trails End 8-year bourbon. I don't know what Trails End 8-year bourbon is, but 8-year bourbon.
It sounds delicious.
I'm already excited for them for that part. I'm less excited for the trades, but I'm curious to see how you fall on this. So let's look at the first trade that happened here.
All right.
Out of the set. So again, super flex, very important here. Sent away Lamar Jackson. So already I'm skeptical, and sent away Jahan Dotson from the Washington Commanders as well. Now they did get back AJ Brown. It's a big name. That's a big piece.
Mm-hmm.
And got a 2023 first round pick. Did not specify the actual pick itself there. So that's interesting. And then a 2023 second, actually two 2023 seconds. So first 2 seconds in AJ Brown. Now we're talking about Lamar Jackson. I know he's going through the contract dispute, the will he won't he play this year. But if you're anything like me, you're not really too fixated on that because you know what his dynasty value is. What do you think of that first one?
This is tough. I actually don't think it's that bad a trade for the person that was receiving Lamar Jackson. You do have to overpay a little bit, especially in the super flex leagues, to get that elite quarterback. So how I view this is it's AJ Brown is like a first plus caliber.
Maybe a first and a second by himself.
Yeah.
At least. Okay.
And then you got your first. So that's basically 2 firsts and 2 seconds for Lamar Jackson, which I think is fair. And then an additional second rounder for Jahan Dotson. Okay, that's fine. So I don't think that trade in it itself is bad if you're receiving Lamar Jackson. And then obviously if you're getting the other side, you're getting a stud wide receiver in AJ Brown coming off a career year. I would expect more of the same this year. You're getting a first rounder. Hopefully it's early and a couple seconds in what is, a fairly deep class this year. So I actually don't think that that's that bad a trade considering you're drinking 8-year bourbon.
Yeah, I will agree with that part of the sentiment for taking maybe a bath in some bourbon on the night. I think that's fine.
Yeah, how do you feel about it?
I look at it like this. Jahan Dotson basically equals out a second. So take those 2 pieces out of it. You're looking at Lamar Jackson for AJ Brown, a first and a second. If you view AJ Brown as a first and 2 seconds, now we're still talking about 2 firsts, 2 seconds for Lamar Jackson. In Superflex, I get it. I get why you might trade him for that. I would like to know what those picks actually turned out to be.
Right.
There's a very real possibility that's a back half of the first round pick, in which case I'm not that excited about that. I mean, AJ Brown is still fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not as excited.
Yeah, you're definitely right there. I would want a top 4-ish, that first rounder to be like a top 4-ish pick with the AJ Brown. The seconds earlier would be better, especially one of them have one earlier, one later. But yeah, I think you're right there, Jake. Where that first ends up really does make a big difference.
So that's a bummer that we don't know that specifically. I wasn't able to get that detail, but in the second trade, we have a little bit more detail to work with. This was a later trade, I'm surmising here. So it's still a bourbon trade, though. Let's be very clear. Still Superflex PPR Dynasty. Here's the second one. They sent away Rashad Penny, George Pickens, and a 201 in this year's rookie class. They received Jamal Williams, Rashad Bateman, Christian Watson, and a 2023 second round pick as well. This one did not say what the actual pick is. This is where I get a little bit confused here why the 201 shows up on one side, but we're left to imagine what the other second round pick is. It's not going to be the 201. We know this.
We know that for certain.
So I don't know if there's some sort of tie-breaking mechanism that still needs to be played out in their league or something. That could very well be. But let's assume it's a mid-round second pick just to make it easy. A lot of pieces involved. So again, Rashad Penny, George Pickens, 201. Jamal Williams, Rashad Bateman, Christian Watson in a second. I have a very clear winner in my heart for this one, but who do you have on this trade?
I will take the mermaid side of Jamal Williams. Yeah. I mean, Jamal Williams, we saw what he did last year, and he will be talked about more. So I won't go into super big detail of why I like him. He's one of my players I will be discussing. Bateman, still very young, especially if Lamar sticks around. That'd be good for Bateman. Watson, we saw what he did last year. Very young, very electric. You're getting a second round pick. Rashad Penny hasn't been able to stay healthy for one single season yet. Although I do like the situation he's walking into at Philadelphia. I just still don't trust that he will stay healthy. Pickens flashed at times last year, which was great. For me, the jury is still out on him, whether he is going to be a fantasy stud. I mean, he kind of right now, he's equal to either like Watson or Bateman. Like they're kind of that same tier of wide receiver. And then, the 2 second round picks essentially wash out. I know one's obviously later than the other one, but they're both second rounders. I mean, so that's why I like the side with the more players.
We're in agreement on this one. We were a little bit split on the first one. We are in full agreement on this one. I look at it very similarly. I think Pickens and Bateman basically could be the same person right now. Bateman, we've seen more time in the league, but he's been injured so often that it's been hard to get a real gauge on him. I'm still pretty high on him. George Pickens, this gives us an opportunity to talk about a Steelers move that just went down as of today's recording. They actually went ahead and added Allen Robinson into their crew. So now it's Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, and Allen Robinson. And I do view them in that order, by the way, in terms of fantasy relevance. I don't think it hurts George Pickens necessarily. It just depends on if he's going to do much work out of the slot. Probably not. Probably won't. He'll stay on the outside. But Rashad Penny, you said, I don't know if I can trust Rashad Penny stays healthy. I don't know if the Eagles staff can trust or will trust that he stays healthy. So I think that there's a good chance they add a running back in this draft because it is so deep for rookies this year. I think it's a little bit of an illusion what's going on with Rashad Penny and how awesome his value looks right now, because I just don't think that backfield's close to being done yet. So Christian Watson, still love the long-term upside, even with Jordan Love. I know people are a little bit down with him, but I still love the upside. Same with Bateman and Jamal Williams, man, just for the vibes. Just for the vibes alone, he's worth
one of my favorite players in the league. I love him, and I'm still disappointed that the Packers moved on from him because I just loved his interviews. He hits me right here in the heart bone.
He's got the key to your heart. Yes, I think overall, and to be clear, so they sent away Lamar Jackson, Jahan Dotson. They sent away Penny, Pickens in the 201. So I think ultimately, it's not as bad as it could have been. But I think you should have maybe just closed your phone and maybe reevaluated it the next day is all.
You're definitely getting a lot of youth with all those moves and a lot of picks. So I'm taking this as this person feels like they were kind of in a rebuild mode. And this was their move to just acquire picks in this year's draft, plus add some high upside young players that could potentially work out and score them points.
I dig it. We've seen so much worse come through these parts.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not even close to a bad. I wouldn't even call it a bad trade. I would just say it's not for me. That's how I'd say it.